Well, hello and welcome on into the semifinal. Be ice, to get warm. We'll get to intros in a second. But for now, we'll put on some royalty-free music for you, and you can enjoy here from Massachusetts. Well, all right, let's get you set here from Central Mass. It's the Mid-Hudson Polar Bears coming in today. They open this game. They come into this game, I should say, undefeated here in the tournament. They won their first game over Beaver Dam 4-0 on Friday, and then Friday evening, they took it to the Long Island Edge 8-3. And yesterday, they beat the Salisbury Redhawks, the same team the Raiders beat, 8-2. The Polar Bears beat them 7-1. And so, the Polar Bears come in having not tasted defeat here in Massachusetts, but surely the Raiders would like to hand them their first loss in this semifinal. It is win or go home for both teams here. So the teams will get set in front of their nets here as 8 seconds tick off here at the last death of the warm-ups. And we're gonna have some famous parents on TV here as the puck goes into the near corner of the defensive end. It'll be wonderful. All right, well, the Raiders have won 2 in a row to come into this game after losing. My hands can stay warm enough to operate the clock. We'll see. I'm sure the suspense is killing you. All right, Bricker and net, Marchuka, Meyerwich, Petrosinelli, Gosler, and Steinfink out there as the opening line for the Raiders. Raiders in their navy blues. They're the 3 seed in this game against the 2 seed of the Polar Bears. Polar Bears in their home whites. You're listening on the radio. Raiders will be going left to right on your radio dial in the first and third periods. We get set here, a little banging on the boards as the players get pumped up. Some Skyliners from younger levels, I should say, in the audience here to cheer on their Bantam compatriots. Puck's dropped, one forward there by Marchuka. Petrosinelli fires in, tries to retrieve at the end boards. Polar Bears may get there first. They do. They rack it over to the far half wall, and they break out of the zone. Marchuka rubs his man off the puck, but he keeps his skates into the offensive zone, trying to dance around. Steinfink with a wonderful play there in the slot, cuts out the puck. Polar Bears keep the zone, though. Still Polar Bears trying to have a deflection in front. Some flurry of activity in the blue paint there, but no shot got through, and the Polar Bears will have to pick it up here in the near corner. Polar Bears on the puck, try and send that rink wide. They do, over to the far circle. Shot comes in, shut down there by Bricker. Left, Berliner out there now with Samosi's got Tanoff to his left. Berliner wins that forward, tries to scoop it out of the zone. First try doesn't happen, but Tanoff will pick it up and pass it out of the zone. A nice pass, finds Koslevsky streaking into the offensive zone, looks into the slot for Samosi. It just rolls wide of the cage, and Samosi will retrieve, bank it off the end boards for Berliner, who's all alone behind the cage, looking in front, tries to slap it there. Hits a stick, though, and the Polar Bears are going to be able to break out through the neutral zone. Tanoff with a wonderful back check, though, keeps the puck in Raiders' hands. Samosi gains the line, dumps in, and now nearly goes in. A skate blade was the difference there for the Polar Bears, who send this out of the zone, and it's going to be icing with 10:33 left to go here in the first period. It's going to be an offensive zone draw coming up for the Raiders. Well, Nate Koslevsky nearly drew first blood there, and it's a good thing the Polar Bears goalie had not sharpened his skates, because he was able to keep it out by a millimeter or so. Puck's dropped, one forward again by the Raiders. They keep the zone. It's Kalemba at the end boards, in short side, and it's going to be covered momentarily, and then Fauci gets a whack at it in the slot. It comes up to Gossler now at the near point. Gossler on the puck there, keeps the zone momentarily, and just out to the offensive zone for those Raiders. It'll be the Marchuka line back out there. He's got Petrosinelli and Meyerowicz with him. Polar Bears win that face-off and come through the neutral zone. Polar Bears into the offensive zone. Puck. Well, it's a defensive zone draw here for the Raiders. And Marchuka wins that forward. Polar Bears keep the zone. They try and dump it in deeper. Marchuka, though, gets another cut at it, and he finds Petrosinelli. It's a 2-on-1 developing with Meyerowicz. Meyerowicz down the slot. Petrosinelli takes the shot, looking for a pass. Rebound instead to tuck it home if it did. Face-off one right back into the blue paint, and so we get another stoppage in play here at 9:23 left to go in the first. Same skaters stay out there. It's Marchuka to try and win this over toward the slot. Tanoff keeps the zone very nicely, throws it in on net, never makes it to the net, but Jake Meyerowicz bodies his man off the puck, and now Marchuka, look out, he raises that backhand just over the cage. Comes up to the near half wall now. Polar Bears trying to get this out of the zone pretty desperately. Marchuka able to body that puck and keep it in the zone, and now Meyerowicz keeps it alive. He turns on the forehand. He gets tied up back there. Could have been a hook called. No call out to find some empty ice. Marchuka able to touch that down to himself. Petrosinelli does a great job not to touch that puck. Would have been a hand pass. Instead, Meyerowicz again comes up the play at the end boards. Pass comes out to the slot. Can't quite find Petrosinelli. Good high danger chances on net. They'll just need to pot one to get rolling. It's Berliner, Samosi, Koslevsky out there as the forwards. Gossler and Steinfink. Steinfink keeps the zone wonderfully there. Polar Bears trying to fire forward. Steinfink again in the way of the Polar Bears. He gets it down to Berliner. Berliner gets it caught in his skates momentarily. Koslevsky taps it farther, and now the Polar at the end boards. He emerges with the puck after upending his man. Steinfink guides it farther, finds Koslevsky streaking at the blue line. He's got Berliner toward the slot, but a stick gets in the way, and so Samosi tries to take over at the far corner. Samosi there, the puck does roll up. It's a 2-on-2 developing here as they try and dump it, but again, Steinfink in the way, takes a heavy hit to move the puck up to Berliner, and Berliner finds Koslevsky in the offensive zone. Koslevsky goes to retrieve and tries to dump it in toward the blue paint. He does. Raiders making a change behind the player half wall, throws it into the blue paint. Oh, nearly tipped home. A nice defensive play, but there's Fauci, who gums up any breakout as the Raiders throw the puck back in just a moment and win this faceoff. Just about halfway done in this first period here in Marlborough, Massachusetts. It's Fauci at the dot. He's got Kalemba and Lorenzo out there with him. Puck one to the weak side of the ice. Lorenzo beats his man to the puck, slaps it forward, and it's in the offensive zone. But Kalemba fires in to try and pick up the puck at the near half wall. Puck now comes over to Fauci. Fauci takes a heavy hit, but he's able to dump it into the zone, and now he's in on the forecheck. He's got Vigliotti on the other side. Vigliotti keeps this a scoreless game with 5:42 left to go in the first. Again, some really good push there by the Raiders. It was a nice 1-2 there. Instead, Marchuka near the side of the cage. Ooh, he gets upended. We get a quick whistle. Let's see what's going on here. It looks like maybe the puck of the zone. They're at the top of their own circle. Steinfink retreats a bit to not give up an odd man rush. Puck now comes into the offensive zone. Polar Bears throw a shot on net. It's Bricker covering up there and some heavy hitting in front of the net as he... Well, puck racked in all the way to the near side here, the near wall. It's Steinfink who emerges with it. And tries to dump that in deep, puck in the near corner. Puck sits there momentarily, and now the Polar Bears will break out. They send it all the way down. In his way, and it'll be Samosi to pick up the loose change. He's by the Zamboni doors. Puck comes off his stick, takes his man to the boards as Kashevsky needs to get his stick out. And there's a lot of yelling here at the bench, but everybody here at Midnight Sports just wants to say happy birthday. Now the benches now yelling at each other about... Well, looks like Polar Bears will have another player going to the bench here. 3-4, it looks like, left in the first. So one minute on the board, interesting. And so we'll do it all over again here in the zone. 3:19 left to go in the first. We'll try again here in the offensive zone for the Raiders. Across, it's Meyerowicz, can't quite handle the sauce on the pass, and so he goes to collect at the end boards. Polar Bears tip that up to Gosser, who sends a shot in just wide of the cage and out at first, but now they do. Just 9 seconds left to go on the man advantage here. That puck goes all the way down. They're behind Bricker's net, trying to throw it out front, but Marchuka gets in the way there, and he's able to work that over to Berliner, who gets that puck after the power play unit leaves the ice. Well, 5 fresh, with the exception of Berliner, fires in for support. It goes all the way around, the puck does, to the weak side. Kashevsky at the far half wall, dumps it in deeper. Right back to him, so he'll dump it right back into the zone, and it's Kashevsky now picking up behind the cage. Tries a backhand wraparound, hit coming, and Samosi pops right back up. Not sure he even lost his skates. And on the back check, he picks up the puck in Polar Bears goaltender, so it'll be Steinfink retrieving at his own blue line. Steinfink waits, delays, throws that back into the new. Gosser blocks that shot. Just 40 seconds left to go here in the first as Gosser works it over to the far side of the ice. Fauci tries to stick it farther. Vigliotti will do the rest. He gets to be an offensive zone draw now for the Raiders. After the... It's Vigliotti, tight angle shot. It's sticked up. Kalemba's in from Steinfink, just misses the net. Well, hopefully this improves the stream here. But you all can tell me over text when you get a chance. We'll put 12 minutes on the board here for the second. And it's going to be the period of the long change here for the Raiders. And so it'll be Marchuka, Petrosinelli, and Meyerowicz out there. Puck's dropped. Here we go. Polar Bears come forward with it into the offensive zone. They break into the slot, but Marchuka with a nice back check picks up the puck. It's Marchuka now on the puck, and he breaks into the offensive zone. Marchuka there, tries to curl around his man, looking for that pass in the slot. Late trailer, and Meyerowicz just missed his stick, and so the shot comes in, rejected by the Polar Bears. And it'll be Marchuka trying to come out of to the top of the zone with the puck. He'll turn instead, cycle it toward the slot, and the Polar Bears in the way, so they'll emerge with it out of the zone, looking for a home run pass. They found it in the off. Marchuka is able to get that puck out of the zone. The Polar Bears will take over at their blue line, feather it right up through the center of the ice in the neutral zone, harassed there by Meyerowicz. Tanoff turns to pick up the puck in his own end. It's Tanoff on the puck now, behind his net. He'll curl, wait, look for some support, and then he'll reverse to himself again and work it over to the weak side of the ice. Petrosinelli will now pick it up at the far half wall. Tries to chip it past his man, but it rolls off his stick. The Polar Bears keep the zone. Now goes they're pushed wide by Aiden. Now it comes to the top of the circle. Shot comes in, goes well over the cage and wide. And Meyerowicz will pick it up at the top of the near circle. looking for a streaking Marchuka. Stick gets in the way by the Polar Bears, but Marchuka is able to pick up the puck and then leave it for Meyerowicz. Tries to tap it farther. Comes to Marchuka at the side of the cage. No room there to get the shot off. Looking there for Meyerowicz, whose stick gets upended. And now the Raiders will have another bite at it, but they can't connect in front of the cage. It's the Polar Bears desperate to escape the zone. They throw it up toward Gosser. Gosser dumps it right back in, and the Raiders will have to make a change here with under 10 minutes left to go in the second. It's Petrosinelli racking his man against the boards as that puck's going to roll all the way down the rink. Should be an icing. It is. So with 9:51 left to go in the middle. Puck one forward there by Berliner. Comes to Samosi, who tries to tap that in. Can't quite get his stick on it, though, and the Polar Bears send it to the weak side. But only so far as Koshlewski, who keeps the zone. Now Berliner kicks it farther, and Koshlewski in the way again. It's Koshlewski now working it over to Berliner. Berliner takes a heavy hit against the boards. Puck comes up. Net. It's still loose. Samosi swipes that in. That's a Raiders goal. The Raiders score. Oh my, Samosi swipes that in. And it's Raiders 1, Polar Bears nothing. Well, puck drop, one forward by the Polar Bears. Kalemba, though, able to get that puck out of the zone. And it'll be Fauci in the neutral zone turning with it, firing it in. Vigliotti will give chase now. Vigliotti on the puck behind the net. He picks it up there, looks into the slot. Oh, Kalemba finds it, sends it over in this middle frame. Well, we're doing our best here on the feed. Unfortunately, we're surrounded by cinder block walls, so difficult to get the signal out, but we'll keep trying. 8:40 left to go here as the Polar Bears win that faceoff in the middle frame. They try and work that out of the zone. Instead, it rolls all the way to the far corner and then sits there. Puck now comes out of the zone. Gosser will collect in the neutral zone and then work it over towards Steinfink. And changes his mind, actually. Comes over toward Petrosinelli, tries to fire in. It hits a skate, though, and Gosser will creep up into the neutral zone to gum up the offensive play momentarily. But now the Polar Bears break in. We're going to get a call here as a stick got under a skate, looks like. And so, now some big-time hitting. And it looks like it's going to be a high hit called here. And so the Polar Bears just screaming from their bench right now, wanting a call. Let's see what it is. Well, it looks like one Polar Bear is going to be going to the box. We'll see what the justice here is. Players told to get away from the referees. We'll see here. Looks like Petrosinelli and Goss are in the box right now. As the officials try and work this one out. Well, still working on it here with 8:08 left to go in the second. As they discuss exactly what the penalties should be.
What's that? I think the penalty?
Petro came in.
Silas first with a trip.
Well, we're going to try and lower the encoder settings here one more time and see if that helps. Well, all right, we're back. We're hoping the output's just a little bit better, a little easier to see, even if it's not high definition anymore. And so here we go. It's a 5-on-3 for the Raiders. And the puck's going to go all the way down to the other end of the ice. And played by the Polar Bears goalie there. 49 seconds left to go here on the 5-on-3 in the middle frame. Polar Bears come up ice. They see some empty ice there, and they wait at the blue line and then send it point to point. Puck comes over, and then it's fired in. Bricker able to kick that aside. Polar Bears will get it there. They throw it all the way up to the blue line. Unable to keep the zone, though, and Marchuka harasses both defensemen into some point-to-point passes to kill this penalty some more. 25 seconds left to go in the 5-on-3 after the calls against the Raiders. If you're just joining us, the Raiders have a 1-goal lead here. A lot of shots on goal and some great play by Bricker, as well as the Raiders skaters have put them up that goal. And they look to kill off the last 9 seconds of this 5-on-3 as the Polar Bears pump that right back up into the neutral zone. Tanoff and Aiden out there as the defenders. Polar Bears will laser that in. Oh, it goes up and over the shoulder of Bricker. And the Polar Bears score as the penalties expired. So with 7:06 left to go here, it's a whole new ball game. And it's Polar Bears 1, Raiders 1. Well, our apologies again about the feed earlier. Hopefully this new setting should handle things and you'll be able to watch the rest of the game right here on Midnight Sports. All right, we'll get you set. 7:06, left to go here in the middle frame, just about halfway gone, halfway through the game entirely, and it's 1-1 as the officials finish their explanations at the Raiders bench. But we're back to 5-on-5 hockey now. It's Berliner winning that faceoff forward and trying to work the puck into the offensive zone. He's got Koslewski in the slot, feathers a saucer pass over, just a little bit out of his reach, and so the puck will just sit at the end boards and then come over to Koslewski, who tries to slap it in front, takes a second bite at the apple and takes some heavy hitting while he does so. Looks like there'll be a delayed penalty here. We'll see. Who is it on? Looks like it will be on the Raiders here for cross-checking. We'll see who's going to the box. It'll be Koslewski to the box here. And it'll be a defensive zone draw for the Raiders. So the Raiders back down to the man disadvantage here for a minute with 6:43 left to go in the second. It'll be Marchuka, Meyerowicz, Steinfink, and Gosler out there as the 4 skaters in navy blue. Polar Bears look to pot again here on the power play. We'll see. They take that faceoff, throw it into the slot. Rister comes in, body gets in front. Looked like it was Steinfink and Gosler. They're able to prevent that puck from getting through. Steinfink turns with the puck, relieves pressure, sends it in the neutral zone. The Polar Bears will have to set up again. They cross the blue line, do the Polar Bears. Now they break into the high slot, throw something on Bricker, but Steinfink gets in the way again, and it comes to the far point. Shot comes in, takes a deflection, goes wide. Polar Bears will have to pick up. 36 seconds left to go in the man advantage for them. Send it rink wide. One-timer doesn't connect. The second one does, but Gosler steers that wide. Steinfink on his man. Meyerowicz now sits at the near dot. Puck again goes all the way across the rink, clearly trying to set up on the weak side circle. Shot goes wide as they're looking for the one-timer all the way across the ice. Raiders not biting, though, on that play, and now it comes to Luke Marchuka, who breaks into the offensive zone. It's Marchuka on the wrister. Oh, goes right off the goalie's face mask and then up into the netting. So with 5:52 left to go in the second and still 9 seconds on the man advantage for the Polar Bears, the Raiders will have an offensive zone draw. It's Marchuka at the near dot as the Raiders make a few personnel changes. Tanoff and Aiden out there with Meyerowicz as well. Marchuka looks to gum up the stick of his man. He does as time ticks away on the man advantage here for the Polar Bears. Looks like the Raiders are going to get back to full strength, having killed this penalty off. Polar Bears break out into the neutral zone with the puck. 5-on-5 hockey now as they come into the offensive zone. Polar Bears trying to move that puck to the net front. Instead, Marchuka gets it, fires it into the Polar Bears bench. And so with 5:30 left to go here in the second, we'll get another stoppage in play and a face-off in the defensive end for the Raiders. Well, it gives us time to pause here for a second. If you didn't catch it in the first period, happy birthday to Sandy Bizarro. We hope it's a great day as you're watching from home here on Midnight Sports. Shot comes in. Brooker catches that out of the air. And so with 5:20 left in the second, we'll get another stoppage in play and a defensive zone draw upcoming for the Raiders. It's Fauci at the dot. Puck's dropped. He kicks it to himself and then tries to work it back toward Tanoff, but hits the skate of looks like the official. So he'll pick it up on the Tanoff will pick it up on the forehand and skate that out of the zone into the neutral zone. Polar Bears take over there, nearly cut out by Kalemba. Instead, the Polar Bears have it right in front of the Raiders bench, but can't find it. And Kalemba able to backhand that into the zone. It's Fauci now at the far corner, finds Kalemba. Puck comes in. Lorenzo takes a big whack at it, does Vigliotti, but it rolls up into the equipment of the goaltender. It's still loose as the Polar Bears now will break out the other way into the neutral zone. Polar Bears now into the offensive zone with some speed, pushed wide by Tanoff, and they'll pick it up at the end boards, but only so far as awaiting Vigliotti, who has the puck now and looks to skate that out of the zone. He does. He cuts to some open ice. He's in the neutral zone. He gains center ice. Now the offensive zone looks to go all the way until it's sticked off his stick at the last second. And Kalemba will harass his man as the Polar Bears have some possession, and they'll come the other way. Gossler immediately onto the ice, making an impact, cutting out the play there, and then leaves the puck for Fauci and Kalemba. It's dumped in so the Raiders can complete their change. And just over 4 minutes left to go here in the middle frame. Tie hockey game as the Polar Bears break out looking for a home run pass. Instead, puck comes all the way to Steinfink, who calmly guides it out of the zone. Rolls to Samosi, who tries to send it farther. Stick gets in the way, but he gets it back and then tries to leave it for Kishlevsky. Polar Bears do emerge with it, though, after it hits a skate, and Steinfink will push his man wide. Polar Bears break into the offensive zone. They sit at the far half wall, now in the high slot. Slapper comes in. Oh, a deflection takes it over the cage. And the Polar Bears will have to pick up possession again in the offensive end. Instead, Berliner's going to get to this first at the far corner and slap it up to the far point. Polar Bears, though, curl with it at the far circle. They're on the backhand. They look to send it up to the point. They do. They love that point shot. They go point to point, but it's cut out by a waiting Kishlevsky, who now drives farther into the offensive zone with the puck. Puck rolls on him. Polar Bears will send it the other way, and now it's Steinfink who has to get back in a hurry. A 2-on-1 developing here for the Polar Bears. They thread it through, but Steinfink made sure that pass was going to end up behind the streaking man, and the Polar Bears will have to get this out of the zone. It's Samosi on the puck. He corrals it with the long stick, sends it up to Kishlevsky, who's headmanning. It's Kishlevsky trying to lurk that into the slot for Berliner. Samosi able to keep the zone, though. Rolling puck there, sits at the near point. Samosi dumps it in deeper for Berliner. Berliner on the puck in the near corner, sends it all the way over to Steinfink, who loads up. Rister comes in, goes just over the cage, looking for a deflection in front. And now it's Gossler, who leaves it for Berliner, who sends it back up toward Gossler. Polar Bears trying to get out of the zone, but Gossler prevents them and then works it over to Berliner. Berliner with some empty ice over there, shoots. Oh, a rolling puck comes up on the chest protector in front, and we'll finally get a stoppage in play with 2:35 left to go here in the second. Oh, they keep fighting there at the circle as the players are having a conversation. And it looks like the Raiders don't seem to agree with what the call might be. They're taking both of them here. One player from each. And none of the fans are happy with the call. It's going to be a defensive zone draw here. Should be 5-on-5 for incidental minors. But we're going to get a stoppage as they work out all the paperwork here at the benches. Petrosinelli, Marchuka, Steinfink, Gossler, and Meyerowicz here with 2:35 left to go in the second. Now Steinfink will go off the ice as it looks like the Raiders. It's unclear how many players they're supposed to have on the ice here. And so we wait now to try and figure out exactly what the personnel combination should be. Should be 5 Raiders on the ice if it's an offensive zone draw here. Well, there it is. A 2-minute penalty put up for the Polar Bears. So, in fact, it's not 5-on-5 hockey. It should be a power play here for the Raiders for the next 2 minutes. And it's won there by the Polar Bears. Gossler will track it down at the far point. He picks the puck up on his backhand, slaps it farther. Bouncing puck, though, comes over his stick until he's able to twirl it deeper in the zone. Look out. Shot comes in from Gossler, and it goes just high of the cage. Now Berliner keeps the zone down to Meyerowicz. He dumps it farther for Petrosinelli. There's a lot of room. Tries to go up and over the goaltender there, but we get a stoppage in play with 2:14 left to go here, as the officials warning the players to knock it off after the whistle goes. 1:39 left to go on the man advantage for the Raiders. And we'll see just what happens here. The Polar Bears have 5 skaters on the ice, really 6. 2 of them are going to go off the ice here. Looks like it was just a line change for them. Puck's dropped, and Petrosinelli tries to win that forward. Polar Bears come away with it. They break across the blue line out of the zone. The Raiders need to get back in a hurry here. Shot comes in. Bricker's able to glove that aside and then leave it for Gosler, so there's no defensive zone draw. Smart, heady play by the veteran goalie as Marchuka tries to track this puck down in the offensive zone. Excuse me, that's Meyerowicz on the puck, and tries to work it out front toward Marchuka and Petrosinelli. Instead, Polar Bears will emerge with it. They gain the line, they dump it in. 1:10 left to go on the man advantage here for the Raiders. Marchuka tracks down the puck. He's got Gosler on the weak side of the ice. Instead, he sends it all the way up to Berliner, who receives it expertly at the blue line and gains the zone. Berliner with some ice, leaves it for Gosler there at the near point. Gosler on the puck now, looking for some open ice. Works it down to Berliner in the near corner. Puck sits in the near corner, and Berliner will chase that puck down now at the end boards. Polar Bears content to let everyone push the puck wide, but we get a whistle here. And it's going to be a call on the Raiders for a slash with 1:20 left to go here in the first. They had 46 seconds left to go on the man advantage, but it's Meyerowicz to the box here for a slash, and it'll be a defensive zone draw. Well, say the Polar Bears bench continues to call for more penalties against the Raiders, as you'd expect in a competitive semifinal like this. But it's certainly at the top end of the calling from the bench here. In any event, 4-on-4 hockey for the next 46 seconds as the Polar Bears win that faceoff, but Petrosinelli pours forward and throws the puck into the neutral zone. A lot of open ice with only 8 skaters out there. Puck sits for Sam Berliner in the neutral zone. He works it over toward Marchuka, who's streaking forward into the offensive zone. Luke Marchuka into the slot, dangles around one man, tries to get that puck to the net front. Instead, it rolls to the far corner. Petrosinelli now at the point, lasers one in, and it's gobbled up by the Polar Bear netminder. And so, with 57 seconds left in this one, we still have 23 seconds of 4-on-4 hockey upcoming as the Raiders will be able to make a line change here. Petrosinelli and Berliner staying out there, and Aiden and Tanoff come as the fresh defensive legs. Petrosinelli pushes his man on the puck farther into the zone. We're under a minute left to play here in the middle frame. 1-1 hockey game, semifinal. Winner moves on, loser goes home. It's Berliner now behind the net. Curling, finding some open ice there for Tanoff. Tanoff shoots that in, looking for a deflection. Petrosinelli was there to tuck home any rebound, but that rebound was just a little too strong for everyone to handle. Polar Bears trying to stick handle past the Raiders. Instead, Aiden picks up the puck there as Tanoff had gummed up the play. Aiden throws a shot in, and that's just gloved down by the Polar Bears netminder. And so, Polar Bears will be on the power play here for 6 seconds with 27 seconds left to go in this second period. It's going to be a near dot drop here, as there's still more complaining from some of the players toward the officials. But in any event, face-off, won there by the Polar Bears, thrown so far as Marchuka. Picks up the puck at his own blue line, curls with it, tries to work it up. We're back to 5-on-5 hockey as the puck sits in front of the Raiders bench, and then it's dumped in by Marchuka. 14 seconds left to go here in the second period. And it'll be the Polar Bears trying to get that out of the zone. They do on a diagonal pass. 2-on-1 developing. 6 seconds left to go. Here's Marchuka's back, and that shot goes wide of the cage. Well, it'll be Berliner trying to finish out this period. He does. There goes the buzzer. After 2, it's Raiders 1, Polar Bears 1. Stick around. We've got period 3 coming up next right here on Midnight Sports. Hockey fans, you've heard of car insurance, life insurance, and medical insurance. But are you sure you're covered? When was the last time you checked your social gaff insurance? For instance, have you accidentally said "love you" while hanging up the phone only to realize you were speaking to a coworker? Or have you ever laughed at what you thought was a joke, but was really a friend telling you with absolute sincerity that something terrible happened? Well, with social gaff insurance, we will pay for you to move to a small town and assume an entirely new identity, so you never have to say you're sorry. It's social gaff insurance. Get it now before you call someone you've known for years by the wrong name. All right, we're set here for period 3 from Marlborough, Massachusetts. It's all on the line. 12 minutes to play as the Raiders win that faceoff forward. Puck now comes out of the zone. The Polar Bears have a 2-on-1 developing. The pass comes in. They're in on Bricker. They shoot. Bricker able to shrug that shot off. A wonderful save as the puck comes back into the blue paint. Raiders need to be careful here. Steinfink will turn with the puck. He works it in the neutral zone. He's got a man behind him who takes him out of the play, and we'll get a quick call there on the Polar Bears for what looks like a check in the back as Steinfink was guiding that puck into the neutral zone. Looks like a trip is going to be the call. Could have been any one of a option of penalties there to be called, but the Raiders don't care. A minute goes up on the board. They'll have the man advantage here with 11:37 left to go in the third. It'll be Petrosinelli, Berliner, Marchuka, Meyerowicz, and Gossler out there. Berliner at the dot. Wins that faceoff over to Petrosinelli, who guides it back to Gossler. Gossler tries to set up for Petrosinelli. Petrosinelli curls into the slot, throws it in. Oh, no rebound coming. A wonderful glove save there after the puck came off the goalie's stick. And there were 2 Raiders waiting to tuck that home. Instead, 51 seconds left to go here on the power play in the final frame. Polar Bears will make a line change here. They are the home team and do get the last line change. It'll be Berliner now as the puck sits at the dot. It's sent up toward Gossler. Gossler has it at the far point. He's able to backhand that deeper into the zone. Petrosinelli will turn and find it at the end boards. Petrosinelli now behind the net, works it up to Marchuka. Marchuka looks to go point to point. Instead drops it down toward Petrosinelli, who's breaking in on net. He finds it there. He shoots it in on goal. And another save there by the Polar Bears netminder with 11:10 left to go here in the third. Still 34 seconds left to go on the man advantage for the Raiders. It'll be Berliner now at the near dot. Wins that faceoff back to Marchuka. A lot of bodies in front. Marchuka looks to load up and get that shot off. It hits a stick and goes right up into the netting. So with 11:02 left to go here in the third, we're going to do it all over again as the Raiders are starting to buzz around the Polar Bears net. Just need to tuck one home here. Still 26 seconds left to go on the power play for the Raiders. It's Berliner over the dot. Wins that on the backhand of Marchuka. Marchuka this time does go point to point with Gossler, who dumps that into some open ice. And Meyerowicz will turn once he gets his stick free from his man. And backhanded farther for Berliner. Berliner now behind the net. Delays, looking in front. Gets that on the forehand. Banks it up to Marchuka. Marchuka with the puck now. Goes around his man. A lot of traffic in front. Was looking for a deflection. Hit a Polar Bear stick. The breakout pass hits Marchuka's shin guards, and now the Polar Bears will try and take over at the red line and dump in. A nice hip check there from Jake Meyerowicz, separates his man from the puck, and Berliner takes a high hit, and a second one there. No call coming, though, as he kept his feet, and we play on. That'll do it for the man advantage for the Raiders, and so we're back to 5-on-5 hockey as the puck sits in the near corner. Petrosinelli tries to work it farther. Polar Bears get in the way. They send it off the glass, and that bouncing puck will leave the zone. It's Berliner now on the puck looking for Steinfink. He finds him there. Steinfink, who drew the earlier penalty, puts that puck deeper into the neutral zone. Petrosinelli absolutely destroys his man and then dumps that puck in, but out of play it looks like. And so with 9:58 left to go here, the Polar Bears wanted a call on the Petrosinelli hit, but they're not going to get it, and it'll be a face-off just outside the offensive zone here for the Raiders. Well, the team from Newburgh, New York, is going to need to protect its defensive zone here as the faceoff comes just outside of it. Koshlewski finds that faceoff win and dumps it in. Fauci now turns on the forecheck. He gets to the puck before his man. Polar Bears try and get that out of the zone. They're going to skate it out of the zone. Samosi on the back check, lifts the stick of his man and cuts out the threat as the Polar Bears gain the offensive zone, but Samosi just harasses his man off the puck. Polar Bears come right back in. It's Koshlewski now on the back check, taking the puck off his man, and Samosi finds it and turns with it. He's got Fauci up the right wing. Samosi gains the line and dumps in, and Fauci will now go in on the forecheck with Samosi. They're all at the the far corner, and the puck comes to the other side of the net. So the Polar Bears look to break out. Koshlewski all over his man again, right in front of the camera well here. Polar Bears will send that to the weak side of the ice. Aiden there to lift the stick of his man, at least momentarily. Polar Bears do break in, looking for a pass in front. Comes in on Bricker, he gets the leg pad down. A wonderful save there. In what turned out to be an eephus pitch redirection. It was a slow roller, but Bricker stood tall. And so it's going to be a defensive zone draw here for the Raiders at the far dot. It'll be Gossler, Kalemba, Vigliotti, Berliner, Steinfink as the 5 skaters. Berliner to take this draw at that far dot. Puck's dropped, one up to the blue line, and Kalemba gets that out of the zone. Berliner now on the puck into the offensive zone. Back check takes the puck off his stick, and the Polar Bears will turn right the other way. Polar Bears work that through the neutral zone. Bigliotti kicks it farther, though, for Steinfink. Steinfink on the puck. He'll bank that up to Kalemba, who leaves it for Berliner. Berliner nearly goes around his man, but Bigliotti, for support, finds Berliner again, who returns the pass to Bigliotti. Bigliotti in the offensive zone. He loads up. He shoots it in. It goes just wide of the cage there, as Kalemba will track down the puck in the near corner. Polar Bears get to it. They work it up to the top of the near circle, and they'll break out of the zone now with a 2-on-2 developing. Steinfink and Gosler back. Steinfink cuts out the threat, and now gets that puck out of the zone. The Polar Bears will have to reset in the neutral zone. Vigliotti in there, and he sends that puck right in front of the Polar Bears bench, and now breaks into the offensive zone. Raiders able to stay onside. The puck comes to Berliner, tries to tap it over toward Kalemba, just didn't have enough momentum on it, and the Polar Bears come right back the other way. Polar Bears into the offensive zone now, but it's again sticked out by Gosler and Tanoff. Puck sits in front of the Raiders bench, and now in front of the scorer. Gosler will take over there. Only so far as a Polar Bear stick, but the rolling puck comes to Tanoff, who with speed through the neutral zone, gains the blue line, sends a shot in, trying to go far side. Sneaky shot there as he was screened by the Polar Bears defenseman. Marchuka picks it up, tries a backhander, up and off. Looks like it hit the side of the net. Nearly was a bank shot in off the Polar Bears netminder. And so with 7:41 to go here in the third period, it should be an offensive zone draw. Nope, looks like they're going to take it out of the zone. Perhaps one of the Raiders took the net off its moorings. In any event, it's Marchuka right in front of the camera here, winning that face-off forward. Petrosinelli picks up the loose change, gains his own. Oh, he goes off the crossbar, inches away from taking the lead right here in the final frame. It's Marchuka now to track down that puck. He does. He's behind the net. He finds Meyerowicz. Oh, the one-timer goes just wide of the cage, and now it's Petrosinelli trying to pick it up. But we get a stoppage in play here, and it looks like, again, the net came off its moorings. Well, if you had a net mooring company, you could do some good business up here in Marlborough, Massachusetts, as that's just the umpteenth time that's happened during these games. In any event, puck one forward by Marchuka. He fires into the near corner, trying to work that up toward Petrosinelli. Tanoff pinches in, and he gums up his man as Aiden goes back for support. 2-on-1, though, developing here. As the pass comes over, can't be corralled at first. Then Bricker's able to glove that aside as the rolling puck comes to Aiden, sends it off the glass up to the far point, and it goes past a Polar Bear man there as Meyerowicz tries to pick up the puck. Polar Bears will come away with it in their own zone, but only so far as Meyerowicz, who shovels it farther and then comes into the slot. He's doing it all himself right now. Oh, rubbed off the puck at the last second was Meyerowicz, and the Polar Bears break right back the other way. They're in the neutral zone, into the offensive zone. Gosser looks to take his man out of the play. Instead, they come in on Bricker, but he makes a save as the puck rolls a little bit. And it's a wonderful save from Jason Bricker there to keep this game tied at 1 with 6:41 left to go in the third. Now it'll be Samosi, Kishlevsky, Berliner, Steinfink, and Gosler out there as the 5 skaters in blue. Berliner here just needs to fasten his helmet, so we'll get a bit of a stoppage in play as he does that. Looks like maybe the neck guard came loose after the activities at the end of the last play. In any event, puck's dropped, and the Polar Bears win that back to the far point. They try and feather something into the low slot. A couple of sticks in the way. Steinfink in the middle of it again. Polar Bears send one up, but Bricker snatches that out of midair. And so with 6:29 left to go in this game, we'll do it all over again in the defensive zone of the Raiders. It's going to be a far dot drop, as it'll be Samosi, Kishlevsky, Berliner, Steinfink, and Gosser all staying out there right now. It's going to come to Bricker's left. Puck's dropped, and it sits at the dot until Kishlevsky finds it, tries to get it out of the zone. He does on the second try. Polar Bears dump that back into the offensive zone. It was offside, but because the Raiders had it, and referees would like this game to continue, no whistle coming. Pass from Berliner, just misses Kishlevsky. Kishlevsky does find it, though, and sends it back to Berliner. Berliner on the puck in front of the Zamboni doors in the far corner. Now working that puck behind the net, and he picks it up at the end wall. He's got two polar bears all over him. He finds Samosi, throws it into the slot. Raiders can't get a stick on it first. Steinfink collects it, gets it to Gosser. He throws it in. Oh, deflection, saved nicely. Berliner tries to go around the net and then goes back the other way and finds Gosser at the far point. Gosser again shoots in. It's covered up nicely there by the polar bears netminder, and then some extracurriculars in the blue paint. A little bit of pushing and shoving. A lot of whistling going on now as the polar bears will have a player sent to the bench or the box. Let's see. Looks like probably just the bench, especially given the time of this game. Officials are loath to decide it themselves here. Well, Polar Bears only have 4 skaters on the ice right now, being told to send a 5th out there. They do. So it'll be Marchuka. Petrosinelli to his right. Marchuka wins that forward to the far corner and then comes up the zone exit. He takes a hit there as he tries to find Meyerowicz streaking in on the net. Puck rolls, and now it comes into the blue paint. Meyerowicz is there. He shoots. It's going to be a delayed penalty here on the Polar Bears. Oh, my. Nearly able to get that puck into the back of the net, but a diving Polar Bear was able to stop that play from happening. Looks like the Polar Bears should be going to the box here, though. We'll see. No, a hand pass. Interesting what the faceoff would be in the defensive end. Unclear as to why play was stopped there. We'll see just what the call is. We do have a Polar Bear in the box now, but we also have 5 Polar Bear skaters on the ice. 5:28 left to go here. Now the Polar Bear is out of the box. Oh my, Polar Bear is being kicked out of the game. And so that was the delay there. Must have been too many penalties there on the same player. And so, Raiders will be up a man here. Puck's dropped, one forward by Berliner. Sent up, but not out of the zone as Berliner tries to catch the pass from Marchuka. Puck sits at the far half wall. Berliner going to work there to try and pick up the puck. He does on the backhand, looking in front. Sends it around the net. Berliner still on the puck, banks it up toward Gosler. Gosler sends it right back down to some open ice. Berliner tries to pick it up there, and the puck rolls to the end boards, and then it's racked off the boards there and then dumped in, but we'll get an offside call. Just missed keeping it in the zone, did the Raiders. And so it's going to be a face-off coming just outside the offensive zone with 5:03 left to go here in the third and 35 seconds on the man advantage for the Raiders. It'll be Berliner over the dot there. He wins that forward. Meyerowicz picks it up and dumps it into the zone. Petrosinelli's firing in, but it'll be covered up there by the Polar Bear netminder with 4:58 left to go here in the final frame. Petrosinelli, Berliner, Marchuka, Gosler, and Meyerowicz as the 5 power play skaters out there. Berliner wins that faceoff to himself, and he throws one in looking for a rebound, but instead it's covered up by the Polar Bear netminder, and we'll do it all over again at the far dot. Berliner again leans over that dot. Puck's dropped. He wins that forward. Polar Bear's in the way this time and sends it off the boards. Marchuka keeps the zone momentarily, but now the puck does roll out. Meyerowicz will turn and fire right back into the zone. Polar Bears, though, looking to connect on a pass. Should be an icing here. It is, as that puck crosses the end line. Still 13 seconds left to go on the man advantage for the Raiders. 4:41 left to go in this game. Referees trying to hurry the game along here in case it ends tied in the third period. It's Berliner now over the dot. He's got Meyerowicz, Petrosinelli, Gosler, and Marchuka still out there with him. 13 seconds left to go on the man advantage. Meyerowicz tries to send that puck over. Instead, the Polar Bears will break the other way. It's a shorty breakaway now. They're in on Bricker. They shoot. Oh, they pot it right there. They potted it on the breakaway, did the Polar Bears, and they take a 1-goal lead. Well, they'll take that lead on that shorty goal. And so, with 4:33 left to go in this one, the Raiders are going to need a strike, and they're going to need to strike fast to even this game up. They've got 5 seconds left to go on the man advantage. And Marchuka at the dot. Wins that face-off forward. The Polar Bears will take over in their own zone. Happy to kill off as much of this game as they can with possession. Marchuka tracks it down again in the neutral zone. Now with speed. Goes into the offensive zone and dumps that puck in. It's Fauci who turns and fires. Tries to pick up the puck off his man at the end wall. And the Polar Bears will send that off the glass, but not out. Bouncing puck evades everybody, and now the Polar Bears are able to break out. It's the Polar Bears through the neutral zone into the offensive zone. Aiden, long reach, takes the puck off his man, tries to send it up ice. Polar Bears get in the way. Polar Bears happy to sit on the puck again as it just sits at the far half wall. Puck sits there. Aiden picks up the puck in the far corner, comes over to Petrosinelli. Petrosinelli finds some open ice for Tanoff. Puck rolls off his stick momentarily, but he is able to get it out of the zone. Now Marchuka with speed through the neutral zone, goes around his man, but the puck rolls on him, and the Polar Bears happy to slap it out of the zone. And they've taken geometry class, or nearly, because they almost put that on net, evading an icing, but instead it rolls just wide. And so with 3:36 left to go here, it's going to be an offensive zone draw for the Raiders. It's going to be at the near dot to the Polar Bear goalie left. And it'll be Samosi, Berliner, Meyerowicz, Tanoff, and Aiden out there. Puck dropped. Berliner tries to win that on the backhand, keeps it at the dot for himself, sends it in on net, and it'll be covered there by the Polar Bears netminder. And so we do get a whistle as the Polar Bear netminder covered it up far to the side of the net. It's a bit of a what for from the official. They also got the whistle. So with 3:30 left to go here, the Raiders will need to get something on the board. Samosi works it deeper for Berliner. Rolling puck comes into the slot. Oh, couldn't be swiped in there by the Raiders. Samosi keeps his own, fires it in. It's tapped farther by Meyerowicz. Polar Bears get the puck back at the top of the far circle, but they lose it to Meyerowicz there. Now it's Berliner shepherding that puck up to the blue line, but he splits the two Raiders at the blue line, and Tanoff will collect and dump it right back in from the neutral zone. 3 minutes left to go in this one. We'll keep an eye on Bricker to see if he leaves the net. Still plenty of time for the Raiders to score without pulling the goalie. It's the Polar Bears trying to work this out of the zone. Meyerowicz finds it. He finds Aiden. Oh, his stick's lifted at the last second. Berliner swipes it farther. Rolling puck in the blue paint, covered up by the Polar Bear netminder, and still some jostling in front of the cage there. But we get a whistle, and it'll be an offensive zone draw upcoming for the Raiders with 2:49 left to go in this one. Well, it'll be Fauci, Gossler, Petrosinelli, Steinfink, and Marchuka out there. The puck's dropped. Marchuka tries to play that puck forward. He does. It's Marchuka at the end wall, and now it's Fauci trying to work that puck farther. Instead, the Polar Bears will break out. They get the puck out of the zone, and they'll dump it all the way down. Should be an icing, though, on them. It is. So with 2:34 left to go in this one, it's going to be an offensive zone draw. Well, we're going to get looks like a timeout call here from the Raiders. And so that'll give us time to visit with our second sponsor of the evening. Hockey fans, today's game on Midnight Sports is sponsored by the drudgery of real life. You know what's better than vacations, luxury goods, and nice cars? That's right. It's the drudgery of real life. Why get excited for that trip to a warm locale when you can bask in the dopamine hit of standing in front of your heater vent on a 15-degree day? And who needs nice clothes when you can pull on the same pair of jeans that you've had for the last 5 years? It's the drudgery of real life. By definition only, it's as good as it gets. Well, we'll get set here for the last 2:34 of this game, and a special thank you and shout out to all of the Skyliners players that came out today to root for this Bantam team here in Marlborough, Massachusetts. They've really brought the noise, and you can tell the players have thrived off the energy. In any event, it's going to be a face-off in the offensive zone. Berliner wins that over to the half wall, and Marchuka fires in to try and take the puck from his man. It's taken out of the play as the puck sits in the far corner. Berliner emerges with it at the end boards, throws it to some open ice, and now Marchuka will pick it up there. Takes a hit to work it down to Berliner. Berliner at the end wall, tries to work that to some open ice, and Marchuka will turn and curl with it. He gets into the slot, looking for Gossler. Gossler loads up, shot comes in. Oh, it's deflected low, but saved nicely there as the puck comes all the way to the end boards. Some of the Polar Bears were looking for a call there. Not going to get it, though, as the puck's thrown up and out of play now with 1:57 left to go in this one. Raiders still pushing for a goal. Here, it's going to be a face-off. It comes just outside the defensive zone as Puck was deflected out of play, last off a Raiders stick. Still a lot of complaining on the ice here by the home team about a call they think was missed. The referees either didn't see it or didn't want to call it. Now the puck won by the Polar Bears, dumped into the neutral zone. Gosser picks it up there. Gosser on the puck, looking to backhand that over to Petrosinelli. He does. He finds Petrosinelli breaking into the zone. Screen shot, hits a body in front. Now it comes in on Berliner. He shoots it just wide. Marchuka will pick up at the end boards. Marchuka looking for Petrosinelli. He finds him. The shot goes high over the cage after taking another deflection. Marchuka now tries to work that puck up to Gosser. He does. Gosser on the puck at the blue line. Shovels it farther into the zone. Takes a hit to do so. Petrosinelli will now turn with the puck. He's got two Polar Bears on him there. Bricker off the ice, and it'll be Fauci as the sixth man on. Polar Bears try and pick up the puck. Oh my, Tanoff with a wonderful keep of the puck there as the net's empty for the Raiders. We've got 1:15 left to go in this one. The Polar Bears desperate to get this out of the zone. It sits at the near half wall, comes up, thrown in by the Raiders. Bouncing puck comes to Berliner. Berliner just tries to shepherd it up to Tanoff. He does. Tanoff works it back down low, and it'll be Berliner picking it up behind the net. Puck rolls on both of them, then it's thrown up, but not out of the zone as Tanoff pinches in, and Marchuka finds the puck. He shoots it in, rolling puck there in front, still loose. Now it's to the right of the cage, but we get a whistle. We get a whistle here. It'll be a face-off as, you guessed it, the net came off its moorings. So with 51 seconds left to go here, it looks like we'll get another timeout call, this time by the team in white, with under a minute left to go and an empty net for the Raiders. Well, while we've got some time, thank you all for joining us for this tournament, Marlborough, Massachusetts. With any luck, there'll be one more game for the Raiders, but they'll need to pot one here late in the third period. Regardless, we wouldn't do it without you tuning in from home. And make sure to tune in next weekend, subject to carrier restrictions. Unfortunately, got a taste of those carrier restrictions earlier today when the first half of this game was as glitchy as UHF television. But we'll be out in Dix Hills next weekend for the LIAHL playoffs and the last couple of games for this New York City Raiders team this season, this winter season, I should say. Spring hockey always around the corner, but for now, it's 51 seconds left to go in this one. Polar Bears 2, Raiders 1. There goes the whistle to ending the timeout. And the Raiders will need to win this offensive zone draw and get some shots on goal quickly. Looking to pot one past this Polar Bears goaltender. It'll be Fauci, Petrosinelli, Berliner, Marchuka, Tanoff, and Gosser as the 6 skaters in blue. Those fans are going wild here for the last minute. Polar Bears win that face-off back to the near corner. They try and send it off the boards out of the zone. Bouncing puck does get past everyone. Now the Polar Bears need to track it down before it hits the end line, but it'll be icing. And the Polar Bears, once again, asking why the icing went, despite them being the first players into the zone and across the end line. But it is by rule, as soon as that puck crosses the end line, it's an icing. So we'll do it all over again here at the near dot. Same skaters stay out there for the Raiders. Puck's dropped. One into the slot and then twisted out. Only so far as Gosser in the high slot, who tries to stick it farther, and then it comes off his stick, and it's moved out of the zone. Tanoff will pick up the puck now. He's got time and space in front of him as the Polar Bears wait at the blue line. It's Petrosinelli now working the puck in the zone. Raiders will have to dump as they're being stood up at the blue line. Oh, the puck comes there. Oh, it rolls loose in the blue paint. Oh, the Raiders couldn't get to it in time before it rolled just past the cage. It sat there, 15 seconds left to go. Tanoff loads up, he shoots. Oh, Fauci was there for the deflection. Just couldn't get the tip of his stick on it to send it wide of the goaltender. 12 seconds left to go in this one now, as the Raiders had a couple of grade A chances, just couldn't tuck it home. Some bad puck luck for them as that rolling puck went wide. It's Berliner now over the dot. Puck sits at the dot, and we're under 10 seconds left to go as the Polar Bears fire that all the way down. That looks like it's going to go in. That's going to be a Polar Bears goal, and it's all over here in Marlborough, Massachusetts for the Raiders, unfortunately, as it's an empty netter for the Polar Bears, and they'll take a 3-1 lead, and the clock will be run here as the game ends. Well, we've gone final at the 33rd annual Central Massachusetts Winter Classic. It's the Mid-Hudson Polar Bears 3, the New York City Raiders 1. Thanks again so much for watching. Happy birthday to Sandy Bizarro. And thank you to all those Skyliners fans who showed up today for this one. Hopefully we'll see you again soon. Until we do, stay safe.